So, for those of you who don't know, when I was 13, I had a boyfriend and he happened to be 23. So, let me just say that when I was 13, I wasn't some little stupid kid, okay? I had a mind, I had my own brain I could think with. I had feelings for this person. We had a relationship. It was not an abusive any whatsoever type of relationship whatsoever. Actually, I found him to be the only person who wasn't abusive as far as my, let's just say, school friends or peers or whatever, because in junior high, I wasn't popular at all. And a lot of guys that I thought I might like did not like me at all. I had buck teeth and I was very skinny and my ears stuck way out. And I was not popular. And even though I was interested in boys, I didn't like the boys in my school because they were all kind of mean to me. And the ones that I liked didn't like me at all. So I was actually living with my grandparents at this time. And I was into horses big time. So I had a horse and we had a couple acres. And I used to ride my horse down the dirt road to this farm because they raised thoroughbreds there and I was interested in working there. So one day I was riding my horse up to the farm and I saw this guy and he was on a black horse and he had blonde hair. He had curly blonde hair and he looked really cute. So we became friends and we were friends for quite a while actually before we even did anything. And so what? He was 23. He didn't look 23. He looked really young and he was actually only a little bit taller than me. So in a way, it was just kind of like just a little bit older. He wasn't that much older. And you know, it's funny because now that I think about it, I don't even think 23 is old at all. I mean, not even then, I didn't think he was that much. I didn't think it even really mattered. He wasn't like that much older, even though I was 13 and he was 23. It didn't really seem like, because he wasn't like an authoritarian figure. He was like a friend, like a real friend. We rode horses together. We liked the same music. We had a lot of different things in common. And to be quite honest with you, it was the best sex ever. Like, I had the best sex with him than I've ever had with anybody else, ever. We didn't do anything weird or unusual. It was all very normal sex. And I liked it so much that we really were in love. And it wasn't all about sex. However, what people thought and what happened next was like what made it all turn ugly. Not between us. Between our relationship, we were still seeing each other no matter what anyone did to us. But it turned it all ugly because it went from a really good friendship and sexual relationship to, it pretty much went to, we couldn't hardly see each other at all anymore because of what people did to us. And we had to hide. I had to sneak out of my window at night to have sex with him. So it's like all of a sudden we went from really good friends, spending all our time together, riding horses, doing things, listening to music, doing things together, to all of a sudden we couldn't see each other no more. I had to sneak out a window and to have sex, and it turned into just like sex, like just a sexual relationship. So what people did is they turned a beautiful relationship into an ugly, just sneaking out the window, plain sex relationship. That's what society did to us. Because it wasn't so much my grandparents' fault, because they knew he was important to me. And it wasn't all their decision. It was the place that he was working at and living at told him he could not see me anymore and that he needed to move. And that was the ranch that was just right up the dirt road from my house, from where I live. So he went to another ranch a little ways down the road, like another where they raised horses, but he didn't stay there very long because I think they didn't really want us together either. So eventually he moved far, far away, and then we could only I could only sneak out of the window and see him like every few weeks or something, and it just got harder and harder for us to meet up because he lived so far away. And then we didn't get to do a whole lot together because our time was limited together. I could only usually only get out of the house at certain hours of the night, or sometimes just a few hours during the day. And I'd always have to sneak around and lie and sneak out the window. And I never, ever, 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 ever would ever admit to having sex with him. He was always just a friend, even though we were having sex. And again, it was the best sex ever. And I would do anything to get out of the house to be with him, including break my screen off my window and jump out the window, including break the screen off the door, including yelling and screaming and hitting and fighting my grandparents, anything. And still to this day, I have very, very strong feelings about this, because every time I come across an article about how some school teacher had a relationship with her student and then she ends up spending time in prison and stuff, it just sets me off to no end, because I get so upset how people could be so cruel and use age as a weapon and try to weaponize age and discriminate against people on their ages. And even though, these teachers, I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone, but I could actually see how that could happen, because again, I was 13 and he was 23. I could actually really see how a really strong relationship could develop that way, and how cruel people are to do that, to criminalize this. And I think the age of consent is bullshit, because I think that if you can speak coherently, I think that should be enough for consent. If you can speak in a coherent sentence and make sense, and you're a young adult, you're in your teens and you're a young adult, I think that should be enough to give consent. So again, consent laws are bullshit. And I just think it's so fucking crazy, how people could be so ignorant to this. It's so clear to me. It's clearer than anything. And why people are like this, I think, to use age as a weapon on people, is because I think that they're cruel, and I think that they're manipulative, and I think they only care about themselves. They don't care about how other people feel or other people's types of relationships. They don't care. I think they have anger issues. I think they're self-serving assholes. And again, they have their own agendas. They're not thinking about the young adult here. They're not thinking about the teacher or the young adult. They're just trying to make themselves look good, or something like they know more, or they know what's going on and nobody else does, because it's the same damn mentality that's always been around since the days of, let's just say, the witch hunts, where the Christians would go out and hunt down pagans and kill them and take all their stuff. It's the same damn mentality, no different. So that's just my rant for the day. And what set me off was a video. Again, like I said, I saw this video of this poor teacher. She had a sexual relationship with her 13-year-old student, and it was a relationship. It was actually approved. It was approved by the 13-year-old boy's parents. It was a good relationship. They had a good relationship. And just because someone found out they had sex, she looks like she's going to be in prison for a long, long time, like 30 years. And that's more time than what rapists or murderers get, actually. And again, this was it was a consensual relationship. And I just feel really bad for the boy, because can you imagine someone you love being sent to prison and you not having no one giving you a voice, no one will listen to you? I know how that feels. Again, society made a beautiful relationship that I had with a 23-year-old. They made it ugly because of what they did to us, how they told us we couldn't be together anymore, and that they were threatening us and everything like that. So it's something that's always been with me in my mind, and there's certain triggers that set me off. And especially when I leave comments and I try to explain to people that, that it happened to me, that I was 13 and I had an older boyfriend, and I know how that is. And I try to stick up for, for them, for the teacher and the boy, and people just like, a lot of people will gang up on me, and it just really set me off. So I just had to get this out and let people know what's going on. And at the rate, I think at the rate how things are going, how like it seems like every so often, every century, every 100 years, it seems like the age of consent keeps going up, 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 up. And I think eventually, if it keeps going up, it's going to be pretty soon, it's going to be like 21. And then it's going to be like, who knows, maybe once people will like live to be much older, who knows, maybe they'll make, age of consent like 30 or something. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, again, if you have a coherent voice and you have a mind and a brain and you can think and you can speak coherent sentences, that should be consent. How could it not be? How can someone argue with someone else that says, hey, we're in a relationship, we love each other. It doesn't matter that he's 20 or 23 and I'm, 13, 14, 15, whatever. If they're coherent and they can speak and they can think and they're intelligent humans. Humans are sexual beings, okay? We're not like these little small brain rodents that only have sex to procreate. We're large brain mammals like dolphins, and we have sex for many different reasons, not just to procreate. We have sex for many different reasons, to feel good. It feels good. We are large brain mammals. We are sexual beings. Why can't people see this? I just want to punch you in the face when you say it's not so. Okay, I got it out. Take care.